going to make sure that I'm recording this. Beautiful. So now we're all recording and set. Hello, everybody. Just checking and seeing how we're all popping on today. So just give me a really quick second to make sure that I can see what's going on. I will happily say I'm getting better and better at this tech stuff every day. So that's really very exciting. Okay, good morning. So a few people on, so this is great. Just going to keep this open so we can see what's going on. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so I'm Chastity, and this is the amazing Colin. Colin has some very fascinating ideas, teachings. So I'm not really, wow, I just completely had like this brain freeze. That was the weirdest thing ever. I got sidetracked. There are like a ton of crows outside, and the wind is blowing like mad. And it just like, it like stopped my whole moment because I saw this beautiful swirl of leaves. And my whole thought process just went, okay, so Colin brings with him a whole bunch of ideas and teachings from his own personal journey. And we have been doing these classes for many, many weeks now, and we're going to continue them, and we're having such a great time. Something that Colin's been seeing recently has been how the circadian rhythms are working not only planetary, but within our own systems. This is really fascinating to me because I'm a body worker and also energy worker as well. I don't like really titles, but I love bones. I love muscles. I love our hormones. I like how everything works together. And it's really fascinating to understand how all of this stuff ties together to create a sense of balance and stability, or what most of us would say homeostasis, you know, in our body, helping us with sleep patterns and things like that. So Colin, thank you so much again for being here and sharing all of your amazing information. I don't even know where to start because I get so excited. I'm like, ooh, the pituitary gland, ooh, the hormones, ooh, the sleep, ooh, the everything, right? And so I just get so jazzed. And so I don't want to go all over the place. I'm just gonna let you bring it down because you very much ground me and bring me focused and very much drive the conversation. So take it away, my friend.
Yeah, the circadian rhythms are something that I that's what they're known as on Earth. You know, Earth science has discovered them in the 60s, and they called them the circadian rhythms. It comes from two words, circa, which is movement in the day, diem, which is day, so it's a movement in the day. And that's what circadian actually means. But in my higher selves, when they taught me it's called the rhythm of life, and how life has a certain rhythm and pattern, and how we live our lives in those patterns. And we see that very much in the way that our human body works. Because when we wake up in the morning, the melatonin production in our body ceases, because melatonin only works when there's no light. It doesn't work when there's blue light around. So the melatonin that we've been producing during the night, that gives us sleep and heals the body, stops its production. Then we get another hormone called cortisol, which kicks in. And the cortisol is like a stimulant. It's a steroid hormone, and it's produced by the adrenals. And the adrenals are just located above the kidneys, in the back part of your back. and then cortisol starts taking over, and they are there to manage your stress levels. But if people are under undue stress, they're under too much stress, it raises your cortisol levels to a high degree, and so you can't sleep at night. So then you start suffering from sleeplessness and insomnia. So then at the end of the day, we switch off our lights and we go to sleep. The cortisol production is meant to stop then, and we're meant to go into melatonin mode. And melatonin heals the body while we are sleeping. The melatonin is produced by the pineal gland. And the pineal gland has different functions in the body. It's a very powerful way that a very powerful gland in our body, and it plays a very important role in our healing. So a lot of people's who have autoimmune diseases, often that comes from not observing the rhythm of this life.
Right.
So at night they can't sleep, they don't produce melatonin, their bodies don't heal, they wake up in the morning, they're stressed, they go to work, they do whatever they're doing, they produce too much cortisol, and then the cortisol then keeps them, in high levels of stress, but the cortisol will actually feed the stress.
Right.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah. So the more stress you put yourself under during the day through your thoughts and emotions, the more cortisol that's producing. But then as your body produces more cortisol, it produces increased levels of anxiety in the body. So that it feeds off itself.
Yeah.
So it keeps people in duress. And this cycle is very important because many people who develop acute and autoimmune diseases have high levels of cortisol in their bodies. So they've got into this trap of self-defeating behavior because being under stress produces more cortisol. The more cortisol you produce, the more you become stressed. So the one feeds off the other. This symbiotic relationship between the cortisol in our body and stress levels is very important. So people have to understand that the entire universe is supposed to be like a gentle wave.
Well,
and when
I'm sorry. No, it's about the adrenals. It's one of the things that I see is over taxed on so many people when I'm doing body work. And when we used to be more, and this is, I think, where you're going into, but we used to be more in tune with how the days would, with the way the sun would rise and then set. And I see when one of the things we today, instead of being chased by a bear to initiate those high levels of cortisol, that's that fight or flight, right? So we would immediately have that rush of cortisol levels to increase, to have us do something we need to do. And now in today's world, we're in front of computers all the time. We have deadlines. We only have 24 hours in a day. We have children to take care of. We have all these things. So our adrenals are completely always overtaxed. And so I just wanted to add that in so people understand, also our listeners are understanding also what causes your adrenals to be giving off so much of this hormone. Why does the gland keep pushing this hormone out, right? And it's because we're, some of the things that will overstress us are even something as simple as work. And one of the side effects is kind of having extra belly fat. When we have high cortisol levels, we have extra belly fat. anyway, I just wanted to add that in. And I know that, thank you for letting me share that, because it's one of the things that I think is very, very important to our health,
Yeah.
is really balancing these levels.
Yeah. Circadian rhythms are very important to health. You know, if people aren't aware of them, they don't practice good circadian type rhythms in their body, they are going to make themselves sick.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's you making yourself sick, right? Not understanding that, you know, your deadlines are still going to be there. So you might as well just take a break.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And
but you know, our circadian rhythms are very much attached to our time, because you have daylight and nighttime. So when you say move from one time zone to a far distant time zone, that interrupts your circadian rhythms, because suddenly you're in a place where you would normally be sleeping, but now you have to be awake.
Yeah.
Okay, so your body will adjust to that. But the first part of your body that adjusts to that is your brain. The different organs in your body adjust to it at a different pace. So you could be, say, living in San Francisco, you travel to New York, your brain's in New York, but your kidneys haven't arrived yet.
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly right. Yep.
Your kidneys are still in San Francisco.
Yep.
So you have to, that's why it takes time to adjust to being in such a different time zone, because different organs in your body take a different time to adjust to the time difference, because the rhythms are not, they don't work all together. They have different organs, have different rhythms, because they are at different frequencies. They all attune to different frequencies. So our brains adjust quickly, our hearts adjust quickly, but then the other organs in our body, and the last organ to adjust is your kidneys. And if your kidneys are not adapting, your adrenals won't adapt.
Yeah.
And when adrenals don't adapt, then you are going to be in a different time zone. Your adrenals are in a different time zone. Your head's here, but your stress levels are somewhere else. That's why people often experience sleeplessness and stress when they move from one time zone to another.
And
But that's just,
yeah, go ahead.
that's just one instance of it. You know, there are many ways that this rhythm impacts us on this planet. And, you know, if people are not aware of the rhythm of their lives and establishing a good rhythm and a healthy rhythm, they're going to get sick.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with, we see it all the time, right? Do you think, one of the things that's making me think when you say, you know, that your kidneys are in San Francisco and your mind is in New York, right? Would you find truth in the fact that it's, generally speaking, our filter, all the things that do the filtering in our body? So, you know, because our kidneys, our liver, you know, all these other organs are actually not only filtering our physical things every day, but they're filtering our emotions, right? And I think that that's kind of what you're saying as well. When we have like this major impact of a move or a travel, or, you know, something major changes, our organs don't just process like the foods we eat or the medicines we take. They're processing our thoughts, they're processing our feelings, they're processing our emotions, right? So do you think that then, you know, is something that people need to take into consideration and be kind to themselves?
Yeah, that's very important, that, because intelligence is not what we think. Intelligence is what exists around us.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have what we call body intelligence. Your body adapts and it produces certain hormones, it produces certain chemical responses in your body to what you're eating and what you're drinking. It has different molecular structure because your DNA is a molecule in your body. So your DNA reacts to the, your molecules in your body react to the chemicals that you're producing in your body. And so that produces a cycle which breaks the circadian rhythms in your life. And so you begin to feel a bit more stress. But the way to deal with it, the quickest way to deal with bringing your circadian rhythms back into balance is through, in our bodies, we've got two timepieces, okay, two rhythms that work. And when they stop working, we die. And they're very important to the circadian rhythms. And I guess you can guess what they are. The one is your breath. The other one is your heartbeat. Okay, they are pumping tick tock, going all the time, and that's actually producing your sense of time. Okay.
Wow, I've never heard those put together as how it produces the sense of time. I really love that because it's amazing what our breath does. It's absolutely amazing what the breath does. You know,
Yeah.
I've learned so much, you know, in body work, doing body work, but breath takes our pain away, right? Breath literally transforms in the moment our behavior. It's absolutely amazing. And we take for granted that we're breathing, and we forget that with the breath, I can calm my nerves. I can control the functions in my body. And oh, thank you for saying that. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very important that people understand that they determine their circadian rhythms.
Yes.
Okay, so they determine their own health in a sense. Because when we breathe, and well, let's look at it from the other point of view. When the body's producing cortisol, it produces stress. Okay, it's there to defend us against stress. But as I said, if you're thinking stressful thoughts and your body's under stress, the cortisol will feed the stress.
Right.
Okay, make you more stressful.
Yes.
Okay, and by becoming more stressful, it impacts on your upper chest area and makes it contract. And when it contracts, you don't breathe deeply. You start breathing short breaths, and that changes the rhythm in your body. And with that rhythmic change in your body starts producing, your heart starts beating faster, your blood's going around your body faster. It's changing the rhythm of your life. And when that rhythm gets changed, your organs start reacting very differently from what they normally do, and they can become overtaxed.
Yes.
And your organs, then you put your organs under stress. So if you are able and you become a conscious breather, you can change the rhythm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
By simply breathing in deeply, taking deep breaths. And when you do that, immediately you will feel a lot of stress leaving your body.
Yes.
Your organs become less stressed. You feel more relaxed. You feel more peaceful. Mm-hmm. And so you can get your body back into that rhythm of life. Okay. But when we put ourselves under stress all the time, and I think in the United States, there are many people who are under stress at the moment. Well, around the world, everyone's under stress. But I think particularly at this time, Americans are going through a lot of stress because you have one party trying to steal the election from the other party. And people don't know what's good. They're getting very anxious about it because it means a lot to them. You know, it changes everything in America. And it's the most important thing to a lot of Americans who have high values, who conservatives, who patriots, and they don't want to see themselves being run by a deviously minded organization like the Democratic Party. Sorry to say, I don't like commenting on politics generally, but, you know, having seen what the Democrats have done over the last 4 years to Donald Trump, what you can see happening. And the thing is, it's all happening with the consent of the mainstream media.
Yeah.
You know, in South Africa, they reported today that Joe Biden has won the election.
That's just amazing to me, you know, because we haven't, you know, nothing's finished here, right? And so it's fascinating to me that the mainstream media is allowed to call an election. Like, I don't know where they get their authority.
Exactly.
But I find that very fascinating. And then, you know, what it's done is it's calmed some people, you know, who have been on edge with high cortisol levels and, you know, running around calling people racists and traitors and misogynists and, you know, just being absolutely hideous. Nikki says it's also happening in Ireland. Thank you. I mean, this is, you know, this is a really big deal worldwide. And what I find really fascinating that that people don't remember is, you know, just bringing up the fact that we were talking about, you know, our organs processing emotions. We have to remember that even if you feel relatively untouched or you feel calm or whatever the case may be, we are still processing this collective emotion. So it's you know, we're, you know, mini maps of the entire universe. And on some level, you know, we're consenting to however we're consenting to this. And if people could just pull together and bring remember that we are unified, that we are unity, that we are all one, then, you know, maybe we could actually process all of this emotion and all of this stress much faster if we could just realize that, you know, hey, we're in it to win it, and we're together, you know, instead of, you know, fighting for. I just wish.
Yeah, it's like that cortisol stress, you know, symbiosis.
Yeah.
If you feel stress, you're going to cause it. Now, in the same way, the universe works this way, that if you are stressful in your body, if you're thinking stressful thoughts and having stressful emotions, you are putting that out there.
Yeah.
You're putting that stress out there. You're putting it out there into the universe. Okay. And when you put whatever you put out there to the universe, it's going to come back to you.
Yep. And the rest of us.
Yeah. So it's very important that people learn at this time. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out slowly. And just feel that calm and peace come. Because when you put that out there, that's what's going to come back to you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Very important for them. Also, your heartbeat is very important in the circulation of the blood around your body. And it's meant to have a certain rhythm, your heartbeat. And when your heart starts beating faster, and you can actually control your heartbeat with your breath. And I've done this many times. When I first learned about this, I wanted to test it. So I got a pair of, you know, the doctor's stethoscope. Mm-hmm. And I lay and listen to my heartbeat. And I breathe deeply and slowly for long. And I heard my heart slowing down. Wow. To the point where it was just going doof, 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 doof. It slowed my heartbeat completely by my breath. Wow. And in the same way, when we do that, we're not only experiencing and creating a different rhythm around us, we are also creating a different rhythm out there, and we affect each other in that way.
So, and we actually see things different too. Sorry, Colin. We see things different. So our surroundings change when that happens as well.
Yeah. When someone comes into your house and they're very stressed and they're anxious, and immediately that raises the stress levels. So what are they doing? They passing on their stress onto you. Okay, so if you're not aware of that, you will take on that stress and then become stressed yourself. Whereas the trick to learn is to be always hold your own space in calmness and peacefulness. And when someone comes, realize that that is their stress, that they must own it. You don't have to own their stress.
Yes. I love that. That's I call that being in 0 point, right? Like really being in 0 point, or correct me if I'm wrong, like a theta state, right? So the brain waves are going to be more still. I don't understand that how that frequency works, and that's one of the things that I think I'm hoping that you're going to talk about is the difference between like what is frequency. I've noticed lately there's been a huge, I mean, I feel like I teach classes too. And so I feel like every month we go into class, I'm like, big changes, guys. It's like every single time I'm like, you won't believe what's going on. All this stuff is happening. And, but it's true. Like, I feel like these massive, I know we have electrical peaks and magnetic peaks like naturally, you know, every couple times a year, right? But like there's this massive purge of what I call plasma light, and it's like a language, and it's physically changing our bodies, our metabolism. It's changing our pituitary gland. It's changing the pineal gland. Everything is shifting and changing. And one of the things that I found fascinating is our sphenoid bone, and how it's connected to, it's the only bone that like is connected to all of our cranial bones, right? And how that is shifting and changing so much. So if you don't see a chiropractor, I suggest seeing one to everybody, because it's so important to keep these bones in the right place. So that way our pineal gland, well, and our pituitary, but is always able to function properly, right? And bring in these new light codes, these plasma frequencies. And I use the word frequency, and you and I just had a chat before that started. And so I want to talk, I want you to talk on frequency. And I know so many people are like, raise your frequency, raise your vibe. And how is frequency kind of, how could you say that that is maybe not the term we should use in terms of like being stressed out or being calm or being awakened and aware? I love your take on this. And so I'm excited for you to share this with people.
Yeah, this term is often used that people should raise their frequency, and I understand why people use that term, because it sounds like you must raise the height of the wave. Okay, now a wave has two characteristics. The one is the amplitude, which is the height of the wave, and the other one is frequency. That is the time it takes between, you know, each peak in each wave or each trough in each wave. So that is frequency. So if you increase your frequency, you increase the amount of heartbeats or beats in that moment in time. Whereas if you increase your amplitude, you increase the height of the wave. Mm. Okay, so I very rarely use the term, we must raise our frequencies. I do use it sometimes because that's the parlance that people have gotten used to, but I thought perhaps we should change the use of that language and rather call it to heighten your amplitude. Mm-hmm. So heighten the wave, you decrease your frequency. So you become a slower wave, okay? But you increase the height of the wave. Okay, so you increase the intensity of that wave.
Yes.
And the way to do that is like everything in time is about frequency. It's about the wave. And time is just the amount of information caught within a wave. that moves over space. And that space is what creates time and timelines. So if our timeline is going up and down, up and down, up and down rapidly, it increases the amount of stress and the circuitry that happens in our circadian rhythms. So rather than doing that, and the frequency of the wave is determined, or the strength of the wave is determined by the amplitude, not the frequency.
I love that. And I just want to point out, I'm really big on words and the hijack of words. And there's a completely different feeling between the word frequency and amplitude. They feel completely different. And I know we were talking a little bit before about, the word frequency kind of being hijacked and kind of being used in a new age, the new age talk and kind of the height of, I probably will get in trouble for saying this, but the height of like spiritual bypassing is how I picture the new age community. But I probably not get very many likes for that.
Yeah. Well, if you just look at nature, how nature operates, and it works very well, it works naturally, it works organically, but it works very slowly.
Yeah.
Summer and winter, autumn and spring. You know, the bees, when they go out to pollinate, they follow certain paths, and they do a little dance that they do to get to wherever they're going to. When they've come back, they follow that same path, but it's like a vortex.
Yeah.
They come back to their hives. And you can say, well, you must be busy like a bee, but bees actually take their time. They don't go straight directly to the plant. They do a little dance first, and they go develop this rhythm that will help them to navigate where they want to go to and where they come from, because they leave a pathway that they can detect when they come back. You look at butterflies. Butterflies do the same thing. You know, they go from their cocoons, they become a butterfly. They mutate into butterflies. They then start a journey. They start to migrate, and it takes them months to migrate wherever they're going to migrate to. This is particularly true with the royal, I think it's called the royal butterfly. But, you know, the point I'm making, that all of nature around us takes its time. They're not frenetic. Even ants, they seem to be frenetic, but they do take time. You know, I put out a bottle of honey for ants once to see how long it would take them to empty the bottle. And I put it on my windowsill in my kitchen, so when I wash my dishes, I could watch the ants.
They're fun to watch, though.
And they went in and out, in and out, in and out. In a year's time, they'd empty the bottle. It was completely cleaned out, after a year. So it took them an entire year to empty that bottle of honey. And, you know, if you just look at the flowers, they don't open overnight. They take their time. They begin to blossom. They grow little shoots, and then they spring, and then they come out and they display themselves, and then they die, and then they lose their petals when autumn comes. Trees lose their leaves when autumn comes, and then, you know, the circle of life just keeps on going, you know, and nature is never in a hurry to do anything.
Nope, it sure isn't. And we're beautiful representations of nature. We are replicas of what we see. Our bodies, I mean, we have two bones in our body that represent or look like a butterfly, and that's our hips and our sphenoid bone. Oh, and then we have our gland, right? Our thyroid gland. all looking like butterflies. I have a question. Are you ready for a question?
Yeah, sure.
Nikki Austin is saying, how do we overcome the problem with having to, oh wait, there's a question up here first. I want to ask this one. When problem with sleeping and when meditation is taken for this, would that calcify the pineal gland? When problem with sleeping, meditation, maybe she means medication. I think Nikki, you might mean medication. So when someone's taking a medication for sleeping, is that, I know what I think, but I'm curious what you think. Would that then calcify the pineal gland is what she's asking, I think.
Well, no, in my view, when you meditate, okay, it clears the mind of stress. And then that slows the rhythm of the waves in your brain. So your brain waves slow down. And when your brain waves slow down, that increases the ability of the pineal gland to actually do its work.
So there was it was a typo. There's a typo here. Instead of meditation, she means medication. So it auto-corrected. So she means when I take, if someone's taking a sleep medication, is that going to calcify the pineal gland?
Not necessarily. Depends what the medication is. Not medication. Generally, the medical industry, they don't give you medicines to heal you. They generally give you medicines to alleviate the symptoms.
Yeah.
So they don't actually solve the problem. They just solve and medicate the symptoms. So, there are certain things that do calcify the pineal gland. And one of them, of course, is if you're drinking water with a lot of
fluoride.
Fluoride in it, yeah. Fluoride is a known calcifier of the pineal gland. But remember that the people should remember that the pineal gland vibrates because it's sending out signals all the time, and it's receiving signals all the time. So it vibrates. So if you keep your pineal gland vibrating, it can reduce the effect of of calcification on the pineal gland. So, but that is also a function of your pineal gland operating. Your pineal gland can't operate in a high intensity stress environment. That's why it works when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, then the pineal gland is able to, excrete melatonin. You become calm. It modifies your dream state. It helps you to dream and remember dreams. It does a lot of work when you're not under stress. Now, my higher self told me that what I should try to do personally is to try to keep myself calm as much as possible, because that allows the pineal gland, which is the seat of our intuition. If you want to receive information from the universe, you want to be given information from the universe, and you want to put out information to the universe, you can't do that under stress.
Yeah.
When your brain waves, they just overcome the waves coming out from your pineal gland. So it's very important not to do that under stress. So medication, is good in some cases, not good in other cases. But generally, if people want to stay healthy, if they just obey the laws of the universe in terms of the rhythm of life, that will help them so much in overcoming, sickness. I've been sick once or twice in the last 14 years. I just don't get sick. And that's, to some extent, just because I obey this rhythm of life. But something has happened on this earth which is affecting the rhythm of the earth, and that's the Schumann resonances. Now, the Schumann resonances used to run at about 7.5 to 8.7 hertz, and they were always within that range ever since they were measured. Now they're hopping up to 43 hertz, which means the heartbeat of the earth is increasing. Now, if you don't stay calm, that is going to increase your rhythm, increase your levels of thought, increase your levels of emotion, heighten your emotions, and it's going to cause a lot of disturbance. A lot of people are experiencing stress, they're experiencing a lot of sleeplessness, and that's because the Schumann resonances are, to some extent, it's caused by the Schumann resonance. And that's why it's important for people to self-determine their own rhythms, and they do that through their breathing. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Colin. I hope that answered your question, Nikki. In terms of the pineal gland, you know, when I do work on people, I've often seen little like cages or holographic inserts, so people aren't actually able to access their third eye, so to speak, right? So, you know, going even beyond our bodily functions and our own hormones, there are other outside forces that happen, and I know we've talked about this in our other time. You know, how our, you know, we have different layers and aspects of self, right? And so these inserts or holographic inserts happen on a planetary level first, right? Using our human energy as reversal grids, right? And when they put these inserts in, then they often are just, we have them too, and we can remove them. And you know, and then it's up to you, of course. You know, sometimes people go to third parties, you know, to help with the initiating this. But I've seen all kinds of crazy things beyond calcification of the pineal gland. So, you know, understanding that there are other ways to decalcify, and that's energetically as well, right? And also, I'd love to add with the medicines, I completely agree with you, Colin. Not everything is going to, you know, create that issue. What I like to do is really using my breath, right? You know, speak into the medicines and, you know, invite that, you know, clear them of of anything that is not of the light, right? That is not of unity. And I always have my my clients breathe into their medicines and say, you know, may my body only take in what is needed and, you know, discard the rest. And then thank your organs for discarding the rest, right? Honor what your body is doing and discarding that. So we have more questions. Are you ready for more questions?
Okay.
Okay. How do we overcome the problem with having to use a mask when needing to go to the hospital for operations? Hospitals won't operate without patients wearing a mask 24/7. That's an interesting question. You want to take that one?
Could you just repeat the question? I'm not sure I heard it properly.
Yeah. How do we overcome the problem with having to use a mask when needing to go to the hospital for operations? So she's saying that in terms of breath, in terms of being able to breathe in full breaths, and someone who has to go in for an operation, how are they going to have a full breath and invite life into their body when they're masked up? Is there a trick to this? How can we then tell our brain that we're getting the oxygen that we need, I think is the question.
Yeah, it's a tough question that and I'm not sure where to start with it. Let me just say that you should only go to hospitals for a mechanical problem in your body. Okay, so if you break an arm, break a leg, you need a heart valve put in, something like that, then by all means go to the hospital. But people too readily run to hospitals for things they don't really need to do. You know, the body can heal itself.
Yeah,
that's the body. The body was designed to heal itself. But when you break an arm, you have to make a sprint and then, to fix your arm, keep your bones intact, and then let the bones knit together over time. They don't knit together straight away. You damage a ligament in your body. It takes a long time to heal ligament, cartilage. So you have to keep your body very still, and you can't always do that if you live an active life. So you go to hospital and they fix it. They stitch it up for you and fix it. So mechanical things people should do, but they should remember when they go to hospital and they get a anesthetic, that anesthetic will destroy all the microbial life in their stomachs.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the bacteria in the stomachs will be destroyed. So they have to put back those, they have to consciously go find, and the best way to do that is with fermented foods, like natural yogurts. And there's a difference between yogurts made with pasteurized milk and yogurts made with unpasteurized milk. Yogurts made with pasteurized milk will have less bacteria than yogurt made with pasteurized milk. So one has to really get into this to see that. But yeah, there's, I haven't been to hospital many times in my life, and whenever I go to a hospital to visit somebody, which I don't do very often, but in occasions that I have, I can't wait to get out of there.
I know, right? The energy in there makes me dizzy. I'll almost always pass out in the hospital. I have to really breathe.
Yeah. And I've told all my friends, if something goes wrong with me, don't take me to hospital, take me home and I'll fix it, and I've done that.
Yeah.
We can fix everything, and it's really more about the mind over matter rather than matter over mind. And the secret of it is to get back into the rhythm of life. And people have to understand, we don't only observe with our eyes, we also create with our eyes. Now, how it works is waves of light come into the eyes, so the eyes don't actually see. All they are is a lens. And that lens allows light to come into the eye, and that whatever the wave is that and form is in that comes into the eye goes to the brain. So it's actually the brain that sees, not the eyes.
Right.
Okay. Whatever the brain is seeing, but the pineal gland in the brain is able to see the unseen.
Yes. This is how we go into different dimensions in our mind. How that would be, would it be correct to say that is how we time travel? Yeah.
So it's very important that people must know that when they look out from their eyes, they're not only receiving light, they're also putting light out there.
Yeah.
And that's how we create our reality. And the light we put in out there will be coming from our thoughts and emotions. Mm-hmm. And if we're having stressful thoughts and emotions, we are creating our own stress.
Yes.
We are creating the stress that we're experiencing. So if we want to deal with this thing that's happening in the US now, people must understand, they must get their rhythm of life back, breathe deeply, calmly, think not stressful thoughts, but think calm, peaceful, self-fulfilling. What do they want to see happen? Mm-hmm. What do we want to see happen? And we can do that. We are powerful enough to do that if we understand the power of our souls, our soul. And so it's very important that people take back control of their own rhythms. So they have long, slow waves.
Waves, yeah.
But heightened waves. And you heighten your wave by thinking good thoughts, by having positive emotions, by seeking the best outcome, not only for oneself, but for all. And that's what it's all about, realizing we're not separated from each other, that separation is an illusion. We are all connected with one another, and we all co-create our own reality together. So we have to get back into that consciousness of oneness. And, you know, when we go one, we go all.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
There's
a
more
great,
truth than that. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great motto to have in life,
Yeah.
because whatever I do affects everybody else, and what everybody else does affects everybody else. So
Yeah.
we have to really slow down our breathing, get back into a more normal kind of situation, and realize that we are not only seeing, in other words, light waves coming in, the light waves coming out as well from the pineal.
Yep.
Okay. And we keep the brain free from stress, from stressful thoughts, hurtful thoughts, low, low value thoughts. When we think murder, revenge, greed, all these things, they just overpower the pineal gland.
Yeah.
And so it can't send a signal out. So we have to keep our bodies free from stress, you know, and stressful thoughts, and think high value levels. We can have peace. We can have great restoration of the planet. We're going to overcome the power of the evil ones here. We're going to come back into our power as human angelics.
Yes. Once we remember, and that's happening, right? And by being stress-free. One of the things that I found easy to do, I have another question here someone has for you too, but one of the things that I do for when I can't think of anything or I'm stressed or overwhelmed, one of the things that I like to do is think about a person that I adore, that is kind, or, you know, find something that I like about somebody, and I start, you know, that someone that makes me feel good, someone that I innately just know that I love, and I'll start there, right? If I can't think of anything else around me, then I just bring my focus in onto one person that I know that I have fond, kind, loving feelings for. And I focus my attention on that. So that's just kind of a trick to, you know, bring you back into center and reevaluate what we're going through. So thank you, Colin, for that. Deborah Nathanson is saying, you mentioned different organs have different frequencies. Can you explain this more and how to help adjust the abs, heal the organs without frequencies? Oh, I love healing the abs, as in the abdominals. Mine used to be completely separated. I've had 5 kids. My last one, had a four fingers you could fit in between my abs, and now they're tight and all put back into place. It's about definitely about what you want in life, right? So what do you have to say about the organs having different frequencies, and how to adjust the abs and heal the organs without frequencies?
Yeah, how it works from an energetic point of view is our soul bodies have a Merkaba field, which produces energy. Okay, it's where our energy generation system is, and it creates energy, and this energy is circulated through the body through the chakras. Okay, now we have 6 chakras, which the first 6 chakras maintain all the organs in the body. So your first chakra will provide the frequencies and the energy required for the lower abdomen. And then, you know, up you get, so the first chakra is a color red. No, it's red, yeah. Then it goes, the second chakra is a color orange. And then the third chakra is the color red. And then the 4th chakra is the color green. And the 5th chakra is the color blue. And the 6th chakra is the color indigo. Okay, it's a dark blue. So those colors are frequencies. People don't understand this. When you see a color, what you're seeing is a frequency of light that has a certain frequency. And that frequency will determine the health of that particular organ. Okay, so it's like a fractal system in that you get the first three chakras are the first, second, and third dimension. The next three chakras are the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. So in a sense, in our bodies, we have the template or the design for the dimensional structure of the universe. We've also got off-body chakras. We've got the seventh chakra at the top of the head, and we get the 8 and 9 between our ears. 10 is above our feet, 6 inches, 12 inches, the 11th chakra, 12 chakras, 12 inches below the feet. And then the 13th chakra is down at Earth's core, and the 15th chakra is up in the heavenlies. So we have this amazing structure of Earth generation. Okay, so getting back to the question is, yes, you can energetically deal with the different organs by using the frequency and the colors of that particular chakra.
Right.
So the first chakra would be a red chakra, the second chakra would be orange, the third would be yellow, and so on. So for heart, if you go out into nature and you see all that green out there,
yeah,
what does it do? It connects with the heart chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is the color orange? The color orange is the color of carrots. And
yeah.
all the orange fruits, peaches, bananas. So those are foods that hold the frequency of that particular chakra.
Yeah.
And so it has a co-resonance with the energy that's being produced by that particular chakra.
I agree.
That's a quick, but there's a lot more to it than that, but that's basically how it works.
Thank you, Colin. The color therapies are very, very powerful. We forget that we have everything within us to heal, and we have access to everything in nature, which is outside of us, although part of us, to heal as well. Also setting intention, just setting an intention that, sometimes I'll just say to myself, this is beyond my scope of understanding. Please heal, correct, and seal, anything that I'm, not understanding with, in language or what I'm asking, what I'm asking for, like how to shift that organ or shift how something is functioning, right? Because it's about picturing things working to their highest capacity. And simply setting those intentions are going to make a shift. Sometimes really quick, you'll get a big burst, like a big shift. And then, then it'll kind of trickle down, or it could go the other way. It could be trickle. And then all of a sudden you'll get a big burst and go, oh my gosh, I'm all good now, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. These are great. I know there are some more things about, I see Nikki's asking more questions. We'll go online and answer some of those because I know it's your bedtime, Colin. I'm all up and starting my day and you're all ready for bed. So, since we're talking about circadian rhythms and honoring, our surroundings and the system that we live in, I want to honor that and let you get some rest. So,
yeah, it's a vast topic, and we've covered a lot of ground tonight. But I'm glad we're having these conversations, so that people realize that it's not about increasing your frequency; it's increasing the amplitude of the wave.
Yes, yes. Understanding that being calm is actually lowering your frequency. But when we're calm in this lower frequency, we're sitting on top of the wave of the high amplification, right? We're holding more light and more power, more cognitive.
And if we just look at how the stars work around us,
Yeah.
And how we move through the universe. It takes us 365 days to get around the sun, you know, and it takes 24 hours for this Earth to do one rotation. And then all the stars are moving and nobody's bumping into anybody else.
Yeah.
We have these billions of stars and they don't bump into each other. Why is that?
Isn't that
because
amazing?
there's a circadian rhythm, the rhythm of life in the universe. You know? And we have to get back into that, get back into the rhythm of life. Slow your breathing down, reduce the frequency, increase the amplitude of the wave, you know, and so it kind of going to reverse a lot of people's thinking, I'm sure, but you know, that's my understanding, and you know, so I just thought I'd put it out there.
I think it's beautiful. I love your understanding of it. I think it's so beautiful and so, so true. Um, and oh, hi, Bart. He just is saying that's a great insight. It's about being calm with the high volume light amplitude. So yeah, I think we covered a lot. And you know, I think that because we layer on top of the things that we've been saying, this is going to, you know, just continue into further conversations. So people get reminders of, you know, how this works, how the circadian rhythms work, how they work with our Merkaba fields, how all of this plays in together. And thank you so much, Colin. I just love your insight. I love doing this show with you. So I'm sending you so much love. And thank you, everybody, for being here today.
Yeah, love you all. Take care.
Get some rest.
We're winning.
We are winning. We're winning. Where we go on, we go off. I've never heard a truer statement.
Yep. Amen.
All right. Blessings. Bye, guys.